Aubuchon Holdings proudly presents Warwick Radio with 5-decade fight trainer, Coach James Gogue.
Guys, welcome. Happy Sunday evening to all of you guys. And I hope you guys don't wait to the last minute like me and James Gogue to do your Christmas shopping, because Christmas is only 8 days away, wouldn't you know it? But guys, to help celebrate the amazing fight that we just saw at 112 pounds to unify the weight division, guys, to help us break it down is the incomparable, in my opinion, guy with the best eyes in the business, and it's not even close. The incomparable Coach James Gogue. James, how you doing tonight, brother?
Hey, Joe, doing good. I'm doing good. Had a last night unexpected, better fight than I expected with Bam Rodriguez and what's that guy's name?
Sonny Edwards, his brother.
Sonny Edwards. Yeah. I'm not too good with names no more because I don't think much of none of these motherfuckers. It ain't worth my time remembering their names. But yeah, it was better than expected. Didn't see all the moving around in the ring like I thought he would. He was more like a stationary target, which, hey, that's right up Bam's alley. It made it an easier fight for Bam to win, to stop the guy. And what else fights were going on yesterday? The David Morrell, that was a fucking mismatch like I thought it was. And who else, Joe, fought? I mean, anybody else fight of significance? I can't remember.
On Friday, Jake Paul fought, and he got a first-round knockout against a prize fighter, supposedly, who was 10-1. And everyone says that he took a dive. But, you know, once again, that's his fan speak, and that's bad for the sport to harbor around that bullshit. You don't hear that. You don't hear fans say that crap in other pastimes. So I wish boxing fans would just shut up about that stuff.
Yeah.
Jeez. It's you know, they complain about that it's a dying sport, but they constantly shit on it every chance they get.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think everyone else is going to think? Well, if their diehard fans think like that, then why should we watch? It's terrible. But anyway,
I don't get involved. I don't listen to them motherfuckers on Twitter or any of them other, it just keeps my mind clear and not, not poisoned, so I don't get involved with it. I really don't give a fuck with
and on the undercard, you're a smart man, Gogue, smarter than the average bear, that's for sure. But, on the undercard of that, we want to give a big shout out and congratulations to Ronnie Shields. He was his junior middleweight prospect, Joannes Thayes, got a big knockout on that card as well. So congratulations to him. He was 2-0 for the entire weekend because obviously he had David Morrell in the Minneapolis card, the final Showtime card, with a very touching and beautiful send-off for to
shut the
book. Oh, stop it, brother! Because it's
fuck them, man. They
ruined. We'll
it,
talk
man.
about that a little bit later. But yeah, it's closing the book on a 30-year relationship with boxing. Yeah, tragic. I'll tell you what. You seem happy about this, Gogue. Why, brother?
Look, Joe, all the crappy fights you were putting on Showtime, it was at once, it was one of the prize networks that fighters wanted to fight on. One of the prize networks that you built your brand on, okay, where the best fought the best. When Al Heyman took over, like he always does on every fucking TV network he's ever gotten, he ruins everything, okay? There's certain fighters he protected to make sure they were taken care of, okay? And that's what he always does. But you look at Heyman's track record. Every fucking thing he touched,
you're right,
turns to shit. Because the guy is fucking a shit bag, okay? He's the worst thing to happen in boxing. Oh, yeah, everybody talks about King and this and that, but King, okay, he cared about developing a fan basis. He cared about putting asses in the seats. He cared about putting competitive fights. He didn't protect his motherfucking guys like Heyman. They ruined it. A once great network, okay, that had high ratings in the millions, $1.5 million. Okay, in his prime, 250,000. As of late, and you know what I mean. Heyman and the people that run Showtime, they let it happen. Okay, they ruined the shit, and a once great network is gone now, and it hurts boxing a lot because you need big platforms like that to get to put the best matchups possible because they got the money. Okay, but these motherfuckers, like they always do, that's destroying boxing. The powers that be, Heyman, the biggest piece of shit out there. He's the one that's responsible for. Look, he fucked up HBO. Okay, he tore that. He, like you said, Joe, he's a fucking locust. He goes into your business, leeches everything he can out of you. When he's done, he moves on to the next, and that's why that motherfucker, he can't get another a network deal out there that's gonna pay him. Okay, that shit with Prime Amazon, he ain't getting no money from what I heard. But anyway, like I said, man, Showtime Championship Boxing and their little minor league system, Showbox. Oh, that was a great platform to develop the next future stars.
It was.
But what did they do? Yep. Turned it to a Heyman protective league. Heyman protective league of fighters, and with the maximize like that Danny Garcia and that Rod Saka. Come on, remember that? Fuck him. I'm glad they're gone. Because in order for boxing to grow again, it needs to reset itself and get rid. And Heyman, he's the biggest problem in boxing. He's the biggest piece of shit poison in boxing right now. I don't deal with a motherfucker. I don't need to deal with a bitch, but you know what I mean? But fuck him. He's the biggest piece of shit that entered boxing I've seen in the last ever, and definitely in the last 20 years. Look at his track record. Everything he turned, ABC, CBS, NBC, all Fox, all those prime network he had deals with, he ruined them. Showtime, HBO, when he was Golden Boy. Check this out, you guys listening in. When he was with Golden Boy, Telefutura, a Mexican Hispanic network,
Yep.
geared to building up the next future Hispanic stars, But what did Golden Boy do? They let that motherfucker control it, and they put all those black fighters like the Charlo brothers, Gary Russell, knocking out Hispanic fighters. You know what I mean? That's disrespectful to the Hispanic paying customer. They want to see the next Latin stars, not the black fighters knocking out their own. And he ruined it like that. You don't showcase African American fighters like Charlo or Gary Russell on Telefutura. It's made for the Hispanic market. Shit like that. Stupid people, stupid shit fans don't know, man. That guy's just, I seen it happening, but Golden Boy, they let it happen. So they're to blame too. They should have put a halt to it. I used to talk to Don Chargan about this all the time.
I remember,
Don Chargan had Telefutura dates too, but he didn't put that shit on. That fucking crap Heyman, shoved down their Golden Boy's throat. He put on Hispanic fighters. And one of the greatest matchups I seen when he put Thomas Villa at the Desert Dole Casino in Tucson, sold out the place. He used local guys, not the fucking all them non-ticket sellers like Golden Boy used to do that couldn't sell tickets. He used local guys to put asses in the seats, and it was like over 4,500 standing room only. And in the main event, they had Tomas Villa, nothing special, but a great TV fighter against Russell Peltz guy, Matagua. It was a fucking war. It was to while it lasted. They called that the last great fight, last great war on Telefutura. That's the kind of fights they want, fans want to see. Fucking Charlo's knocking out or Gary Russell. Look at Gary. He built his record up. The Charlo brothers built their record up on Telefutura. Isn't that a fucking joke? That's for Hispanic fighters, not black fighters. Okay. But like I said, that's why I'm sick of this sport. I'm sick of the business. Only reason I'm in this fucking shit because it keeps me young, because I could go to the gym and do something positive and and helping, these kids I'm working with, helping to develop as fighters. But as far as the business, fuck all of them, man. They've ruined it, man. Powers that be have ruined this fucking business. This one popular sport, mainstream sport in America, where millions tuned in. Now you got what, 350,000 hardcore fans? What the fuck? That's a niche sport, if you ask me. That ain't no better than fucking skateboarding or bowling. But anyway, Joe,
it is a lot closer now to the Pro Bowlers Tour than any other mainstream pastime. Yeah. But look, statistically, now, everyone insists, and I got these numbers from Tim Bradley. 350,000 is what Top Rank is tracking. But in my opinion, I think they're only accounting for the ones who still financially support it. That's why they only account for those. Because I know there are a lot more diehard fans in this country than that, in a country of 330 million inhabitants. But those are the only ones who still consistently pay for the events.
Look at UFC. UFC doesn't have problems. They got packed stadiums every time they go. They do million plus pay-per-view buys. Okay, they get mainstream press all the time.
They do,
especially on ESPN. Not boxing.
Not boxing. Not boxing. And once again, everyone has been bashing the sport ad nauseum for the last, let's just be honest. Since the Pacquiao Mayweather pay-per-view, in my opinion, the biggest fight that everyone was looking forward to did more harm to the sport than good, and it's been downhill since. Then we had the formation of PBC, where Al Heyman basically left for dead, gutted Golden Boy, and all they had left was Canelo Alvarez. And they had to rebuild from there, and I think they've done a fantastic job rebuilding since then. It's amazing. But it just goes to show you, you can be a major player in this business if you have one legitimate ticket seller, right? And Canelo, he's, in my opinion, Coach, Canelo is the only legitimate draw that we have that can still sell regardless of whom he fights. Everyone else, the quality of opposition dramatically.
Joe, you're not growing the sport with one fighter. You need a lot of fighters.
That's it. But you know what? It's a lot of it is the diehard fans today. Because when you do have several mainstream attractions, which we did this year, Terrence Crawford just became one. Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, that was the biggest selling pay-per-view of the year, 1.3 million. And the fans who constantly complain that the best don't fight the best, what did they complain about this year? There are too many pay-per-views. Too many pay-per-views. Okay, so you can't have it both ways. Where are you going to put them for free? There aren't enough numbers to support it. We're not a mainstream sport anymore. So if you want to see them fight, you're going to have to pay for it. Because if you don't subscribe anymore, okay, if we don't subscribe into the diehard fans stop stealing these events, if they don't stop, then what's going to end up happening is it's going to be distribution deal for everybody. Because look at the Zone and the Haney pay-per-view, right? It did 50,000 purchases. 50,000 purchases. And the Zone, they lost money. If people stop, if people don't start considering the network investment, just like Showtime and Heyman, PBC, then guess what? We're going to have to end up paying for every big event coming up. Every fight card we're going to have to pay for, just like we're doing now with the Amazon Prime and PBC. But we have our first super chat for you, Gogue. Thank you, Brother Sly. We appreciate it. He says, shout out to Coach Gogue and Pat Stummerall. Oh, thank you, man. Who do you think had the best performance last night, Coach? Respect to Sonny, fought with a broken orbital bone. As early as round 2, boy, you saw that thing balloon up beautifully. And thank you, Sly. Coach, your thoughts, who had the breakout performance of the entire weekend?
Oh, it had to be Bam Rodriguez, a fight that I thought would be a lot more difficult because the slippery, awkward style, the running style, of Edwards. I thought, that would be a difficult task for him to overcome. But, Edwards, he didn't fight like he usually does. If you watched him in his other fights, he was more stationary. He didn't use his movement a lot, like he usually does. He was more stationary, staying in front of him, which made him an easier target to hit. But Bam Rodriguez, yeah, he looked good compared to his last 2 fights where he looked good. But this fight, yeah, in a unification, a big unification fight, yeah, he closed the show. You know, what do you call it? His jab was effective. Okay, that's what busted up this Charlie. What's that? What the fuck's that? Edwards' face. I can't even remember these bitches. That jab really, that consistent jab round after round really busted up his face. Like I tell you fans all the time, the 3 things you do when you break down, when you're at this elite stage, the 3 things you need to do to break down an elite level fighter. You're just not gonna knock them out in 1 round, man. This ain't the club shows in Mexico. Okay, with 200 people where you're fighting a stiff. These guys are there for a reason. They're the best of the best, and you're not going to knock them out, but you break them down systematically, intelligently, and it starts with a jab. Okay, if you got a consistent jab and it's landing, as the rounds go on, your face is going to start swelling up, and it did with Sonny. Okay, then when you get closer, when you start closing that distance, and you start busting his face up and you start closing that distance, them body shots slow you down a lot. It takes your legs away. Okay. They say hit the body and the head will follow. Bullshit. Hit the body and the legs are gone. Once you make your opponent a stationary target, that makes it so much easier for Bam. And that set up, you know, his jab, his body shots, and Bam, he's got very, very good footwork when he uses it, moves in and out, you know, real intelligently, just to throw you off. He just doesn't walk straight in. He'll move in and out. Okay, when you see him coming in, you try to get off on some combinations or step out of range, and he'll screw your timing and rhythm up. Then he's back in with that jab in your face. Then then that counter left hand of his is real sneaky. You know, he'll boom, boom, he'll throw a punch and he'll make you miss, and he'll counter with that left hand back. And like I said, he uses jabs, his feints. The jab to the body, good. That jab to the body, it's basically what Inoue did to Fulton. Threw that jab to the body, came back with a right hand to the head. Well, Bam threw that right jab to the body, came back with that left hand to the head. That jab to the body kind of like froze him, and he didn't see that left hand right behind him. And like I said, he broke him down systematically, round by round. Like I said, starting with that jab, then body shots, then the combination. Bam he's a beautiful combination puncher when you're in front of him, okay? But he has a lot more other dimensions to his game. He uses angles good. He has good footwork, underestimated footwork. He's smart, okay? He's not just walks in there and just tries to, knock you out with his punching power. He sets everything up intelligently. He's patient. He's smart. He sees things. He makes the adjustments and shit like that. Yeah, I've seen him in the amateurs, but he's grown so much since the amateurs. He's added so many dimensions to his game. You can see the raw natural talent in the amateurs, but as he turned pro, he added a lot of dimensions to his game. And yeah, he did good. And I think, him and Estrada would be a great fight. I think Estrada's, more on the downside, stationary target, be easier to hit. It'd be a great pay to have that fight in San Antonio, baby. Woo! But the real is that Junto
Nakatani. Yep.
Oh, him and Bam would be a super fight in Japan. Now you can put that fight in San Antonio would do good, but you put in Japan, that motherfucker would do 30, 40,000.
Yep.
And the whole country will be watching it. Millions, 30, 40 million, not no 200,000 or 300,000 like in the States. Okay. So that would be a great fight in Japan, him and Junto in the future. Did Junto move? I heard he moved up to bantamweight. Is that true?
It doesn't surprise me either. I couldn't believe that guy could ever make 112. He looks like a giant among children.
No, he moved up to bantamweight, 118.
Yeah, 118. That's right. I can't believe he ever made 112 because he started his career at 112 and he was undefeated, knocking everyone out. I'm like, well, yeah, no shit. He looks like He looks like the way Devin Haney did at lightweight.
Then the two big super fights would be Bam against Galo Estrada in San Antonio, the legendary Chocolatito. Yep. The legendary Chocolatito next year in San Antonio. And you're talking about, maybe, 12, 15,000 that little fucking motherfucker, little super flyweight could draw. That's rare in boxing, man. That's the same type of drawing power Chiquita Gonzalez and the Carbajal had back in the days, or Johnny Tapia, Mi Vida Loca, and Danny Romero. But anyway, man.
In San Antonio, the very first world champion in the history of San Antonio boxing,
Quiroga.
El Pekin, the late Roberto Quiroga. And he fought Kid Hakeem in the Hemisphere Arena. And they sold it out. And that was Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year with 15,000 people in that arena. Yep.
Yeah, they could do that in San Antonio. Eddie knows, man. They ain't stupid. Eddie knows. He knows that them are the big matchups. Chocolatito and
El Gallo Estrada.
They're both on the downhill, but they got names. People know who the fuck they are, and they see a young young superstar coming up against the two legends. Hey, Joe, now that fight has a lot of, a lot of sizzle, man. That fight them fights have a lot of sizzle. Them the fights that get me excited, man. Yeah.
Yep. Unlike 35, 40, and 47, you don't see any damn posturing at 12, 15, and 18. I love it. In my opinion, those are the very best divisions. They give you elite level skill, all action, and they don't posture. They fight. They fight each other. The champions fight each other all the time. And they don't have these belabored negotiations that drag out for months, even a year, like the other divisions. Like it was disgraceful. Go ahead. Crawford Spence negotiation. That was disgraceful, guys.
They could get these fights done, Joe. They're both with Eddie, and Eddie, they both fight in the zone. So all three are with Eddie. So, they could. These fights are very, very, makeable. There ain't gonna be no posturing on the A side, and I need, you guys need to play Drake when I walk out and all that shit. You know what I mean?
Look. I will also say this. And this is one thing, and several things that I've had to tip my hat to Eddie Hearn last week and this week. He's a real promoter, guys. He beats his feet. He hustles and he sells tickets. He's an old school promoter. I just wish he didn't pay guys inflated purses that were above the weight limit of 126. Because it's paying out inflated purses. That's the other big problem outside of piracy, right? It makes it virtually impossible to put together the best fights. Then you have guys on social media going back and forth. Oh, I can't believe you turned down my $20 million offer. Man, you guys shouldn't even talk about that crap because it's nonsense. It's bad for the sport because it's nonsense. Where the hell's the money going to come from? Amazon Prime. They're paying the NFL over $1 billion to show the games on Thursday. How much are they paying PBC? Nothing. Not a dime. They're actually just going to distribute it for him.
And Al's still having a problem finding an investor, huh, to fund his circus. Huh?
I haven't heard anything, but I can't imagine it's going to be easy. Because his credit, that's like trying to actually buy a car with a 300 credit rating. Yeah. You're going to need some assets, collateral, or a cosigner. A lot of them. So, guys, this is, it remains to be seen. But, they're working on it right now. That's why they didn't announce anyone on the schedule. That's why I don't have anything coming projected until March or even possibly April. Guys, this is a real problem for boxing. And if Eddie does not consider, I love him on the floor. He's an old school promoter like his dad. He beats his feet. Look how, for two non-ticket sellers like Haney and Prograis, he packed that house in a non-fight city traditionally. They hadn't had a big fight there in like 22 years. And he packed that place. Okay, but did they sell on pay-per-view? No. Piracy is a real problem, and paying out inflated purses is just as big of a problem. It keeps the big fights from being made. I will say this though, guys. Fans, you guys need to learn and start being more optimistic about your boxing, because I've heard a lot of criticism about Eddie Hearn getting another one of his prospects undefeated, and he was called the Lomachenko of the UK. Peter McGrail, 8-0, highly touted prospect at 122 pounds, gets knocked out viciously in the 5th by the unheralded Jericho O'Quinn.
Jericho O'Quinn from Detroit.
Yep, and everyone is criticizing Eddie Hearn, and I'm like, you asked to see the best matchups. You asked to see 50-50 fights. Okay, you asked to see competitive fights, and then you criticize the promoter for giving it to you. Yes, people have to win, people have to lose.
What's that guy's name, Joe?
Which one?
When did he lose? Last night?
Yesterday in Arizona. Peter McGrail. Peter McGrail.
Who the fuck is he?
He was a highly touted prospect from the UK at 122, and he gets KTFO'd viciously by Jericho O'Quinn.
I guess he wasn't that
good. Yeah, so, guys, look, and people are criticizing him for sticking him in with Jericho O'Quinn. And he was 16-1-1. Oh, you can't stick a blue chip prospect in with a guy that tough. Well, look, you guys want to see the best fight the best. You're tired of seeing guys being pussyfooted, being given soft touches. You got it. You got it. He was tested and he failed. That's it. If he's a real fighter, he'll learn from this and come back. That's it. You can't have it both ways. You can't complain that the best aren't fighting the best or prospects aren't being tested. And then when he does, and it's an upset, you can't complain about it. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Fight fans, and I'm not talking about our War Week Radio extended family. You guys are very intelligent, understand, and care about the health of the sport. But most diehard fans, and you guys already know this, you can just go on Twitter, go on wherever, your social media page, and it's overtly negative. Very few of it is positive. And guys, you cannot expect anyone. Once again, everyone looking at this says, well, why the hell should I watch when the most passionate fans of the sport are constantly complaining about it? Maybe they're onto something.
Hey, Joe, man, enough of that shit. Fuck, I don't listen. Let's talk about something positive. I'm bashing. Fuck them guys, man. You know, that's bullshit, man. I don't want to listen to that bullshit.
No. I'm just pointing. That's right. I'm just pointing out. Don't get upset, man, when a prospect gets knocked out or gets upset.
Yeah, but about the fans doing this, stealing this shit. Let the motherfuckers steal the shit. You know, let them. I don't give a fuck. That ain't my problem. It's the promoter's problems, man. I want to talk about good fights coming up, good matchups, or that Bam Rodriguez and them good fights with Chocolatito. Not about this fucking bullshit fans, man. You know, fuck them. I don't care about them. I don't listen to none of that shit. I don't pay attention to that.
Very good.
It's all poison. You know, I keep it like when I see it, I go like this. You know.
Very good. I understand, and you've got the right idea. Yeah, it's your show as well. So thank you, Sly. We appreciate you actually for the super chat, and we appreciate your question. And congratulations to Bam Rodriguez. He becomes, and I couldn't believe this when I saw this, but yes, it's true. Bam Rodriguez becomes the first unified champion in the history of the Alamo City, San Antonio. Can you believe that? That's our first unified champion from San Antonio.
A great one of the top markets in boxing right now, not only because, you know, they got some great fans there, but when big fights show up, they show the fuck up. And the club scene, which is dead in America, pretty much, it's active. You know, it's prospering. You should know, Joe. You're in that. You're involved with the two top dogs there, man. You know what's happening.
Yep, absolutely. In our last event, in a club show, supposed club show, we packed that place with over 4,500 fans.
Yeah,
and they all left happy. They weren't even leaving. They stayed around, kept drinking, kept hanging out and did meet and greets with the fighters. And there was a crackle and a buzz because of the great knockouts that they had seen on the card. And once again, we've been following the great Don Chargan method of matchmaking.
Joe,
if you're not a ticket teller, you're going to be in 50-50 fights. Yep.
I know. I've seen all this shit since the 80s. Like I said, I learned this shit. I've known Don since 83. I met him over there in Sacramento in 83. And I grew up in that era where all there was club shows. There wasn't HBO, consistently, or pay-per-view or Showtime. That shit wasn't even around, until, years later. But I've been in them type of atmosphere, club shows, no TV, and Bobby Chacon versus Art Frias. Oh my God. There was so many people there, man. They had to open another back room just to let 500 more people in there. And that fight was so great, man. Man, everybody, like you said, Joe, everybody was just, after the fight, they were just amazing. We're just hanging out, just like, man, couldn't believe what they saw, that buzz.
Yeah.
And right after that,
I love that energy. Yep.
Right after that, Freddie Roach came into town when he was fighting with his Hall of Fame trainer, Eddie Futch. They came in our gym to train, in fact. And that fight was, because of that Arturo Frias fight with Bobby Chacon, people wanted to see Bobby again. So the next fight, it was sold out. Don had to turn 500 people away at the gate because the fire marshal wouldn't let nobody else in. I was there. I remember that, man. 500 people that were trying to get in. They couldn't get in because it was so packed in there, and it was a great 10-round war. First round, Freddie Roach dropped Bobby Chacon, but everybody knows Bobby had the heart of a lion. He came up, and
that's it.
Great fight, round after round, but he was a better fighter than Freddie. Freddie didn't have good defense. Bobby was a little bit more smarter, a little bit more slicker, and won a 10-round decision. It was a good fight, and people were, you know what I mean? It was at the downtown Memorial Auditorium. That was a legendary place for all the great wars in Sacramento. That was the place, Joe. It was downtown Sacramento. It was easily accessible to fans where they could go there. And the atmosphere, man, just the old school atmosphere, big auditorium with the ring, with seats all around. It was a bigger version of the Blue Horizon. And that's what was Sacramento with, when Don promoted shows, everybody wanted to go to those club shows. And in them club shows, future world champions Loretto Garza, Tony Lopez were fighting on them, and that's how they got built up from the 4, the 6, the 8-round stage on them club shows under Bobby. And that's how you build champions in your local market. But these motherfuckers nowadays, nobody in boxing knows how to build fighters from the 4, 6, 8, 10, 12-round stage all the way to the championship level stage. Don was the last one. He's dead though. He passed away. You guys are doing shows, but you guys are gonna have to earn your bones with me when you're taking some of these guys and building them to the championship level, not getting them to 15-0 and start, putting them in tough matches where they don't belong in on PBC or Golden Boy shows, where they're gonna get beat. That ain't getting it, man. Don never did that, man. He developed this market, constantly cultivated the market with Tony Lopez and Loretto Garza. I was there, man. The first main event they did in 86 or 87, one of those years. Co-main. They both co-main 10 rounds. They only did 800 people. But Don had faith. He knew what he was doing, kept cultivating the market. 2 years later, Tony was world champion. Over 10,000 people went to go watch him fight Rocky Lawbridge in Fight of the Year, 1988. Then it took off. 5 world champions within a 20-year span in Sacramento. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. You're promoting great shows and promoters with San Antonio. Developing the 4, 6, 8, 10s to the championship level. You could do that if you know what the hell you're doing. Because if And you're going to have your fan base is going to grow where the money's going to be available to put on bigger fights. Okay, that's what you got to think. But nobody does that no more. Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing. I mean, I'm just being honest. They don't know what they're doing.
No, you're right. You're right. And I'll tell you what, in the first of the year, and I've been speaking with the great Russell Peltz, since we can't have the Don on, we're going to invite him on the show to try and have at least a show once every other week with the great Russell Peltz.
Russell knows how to do it.
Yep. He's the last of the Mohicans. Yep.
Him and Don were partners on a lot of. They did that fight. Remember the show I mentioned earlier, The Last Great War on Telefutura? Well, he had Matagua. Matagua was trained by, I think, Bobby Boogaloo Watts, who beat Hagler. And he had Matagua, and Don had Villa. Both ordinary guys and special, but they made a great fight. They had styles and make a great fight on TV. They made that fight.
Yep.
I was there because I made a couple matches. I helped Don with the undercard, and I made a couple matches on the undercard. So I went to the fight and everything, man. You should have seen him, man. That crowd, that fight was so great. The whole crowd there, over 4,500 people, they were just in awe, hanging out, drinking. And when the fight was done, just couldn't believe what they saw, man. And Russell Peltz, man, afterwards, I went up to him and Don, and Russell was just, oh my God, he was breathless. He was just, oh my God, what did I just witness? Fights, what makes boxing, man? That's what grows the fan base. Russell's an old school guy, man. He knows. He'll tell you about how he built up Philadelphia. Nobody wanted to fight each other. Then he had a meeting with everybody. He called everybody in, all the trainers, managers, fighters, and said, hey, man, this is the way it's going to be, or this shit ain't going to take off. Everybody's got to fight. We got to put the best fights possible. Everybody, you can't be scared to fight another opponent because he trains in your gym or you sparred him. You're going to have to fight. And that's how it created that renaissance in Philadelphia. Russell Peltz was responsible for all that. And he had a lot of champions, man. Jeff Chandler, Matthew Saad Muhammad, and Bam Bam Hines. They had a few champions coming in. And that's a joke. When you do it like that, champions are going to evolve. They're going to, they're going to come from the ashes to the top. Okay, when you do it like that, man, champions are automatically going to be created. Not like this shit you see nowadays when guys are protected and they're marketed on social media. Like that Floyd Schofield. He's the latest. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Edgar Berlanga Part 3. Yep.
Yeah, like that. But guys like that are Omar Figueroa, guys like that are, but back then, Russell, hey, man, the best, fight the best, and the cream rises to the top. And that's what Don's philosophy when he was at the Olympic. That's why he had all those champions back there. Mondo Ramos. Yep. Oh, God, Raul Rojas. I mean, there's so many. I can't remember. And he had a lot of them back then.
Yep.
And that's what happens. And he didn't have nobody on contract. So, everybody just grew organically. And that's one thing in San Antonio you guys are learning now. You guys are producing great crowds and this and that. But your ultimate objective is to develop world champions. Okay. And it can be done as long as your fan base is growing. Okay. Yep. And the fighters don't act stupid. All of a sudden, they get to 14-0. They want to sign with Al Heyman.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But anyway, I've been through that. Yep. I've been through all that, Joe. I've been through all that shit you're doing. I've been through that back 30 years ago when it was real. When fighters, when there were fighters, not businessmen like nowadays.
They're all businessmen now. It's such a headache, Gogue. They're the great majority of them are all businessmen. They all want to be Floyd Mayweather, and they all try to act like him. And it's a real struggle every single event, Gogue. And our next event is going to be on January 20th, guys. TMB Promotions. January 20th. We're currently looking for a venue right now, but it's going to be January 20th. Yep. I'm sorry, go ahead, Gogue. Yep, Rick Morones and TMB Promotions this time. Yep.
All right. Yeah, just keep unpacking them, keep growing the fan base. You'll see the guys that can move tickets and guys that eventually, develop into the world class level. It's a natural progression. Okay. And that's how you grow the market organically. Okay. Rick Rick's a real good, a good promoter, a hustler. He understands the details. Don taught him. So, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, he's following Don's game plan and he's having success. Okay. Because he has a game plan on how to do it the right way. And when you do it the right way, you're going to have success. You're going to profit. Okay. But, and the other promoter is they just started or what? Or they're.
Yeah, South Park Boxing, and they don't even have their promotional license yet. We're using AAA promotions out of the Valley. Yep,
so they're growing. So they're growing. Yeah, they're learning on the job. Rick is a little bit more seasoned. He had more experience and everything. So,
I tell you what, though, man, this last card that we just staged 2 weeks ago, or last Saturday, that was, in my opinion, one of the best club shows I've ever been a part of, and from top to bottom. Every fight delivered. You either saw a spectacular performance with a jaw-dropping knockout or two guys go tooth and nail and really wowed the crowd, all action. It was amazing. And in my opinion, it was one of the best cards of the year.
Well, guess what, Joe? It's got to be done consistently, okay?
That's it.
Right.
It's got to be done consistently. That's it. That's the only way you can. Yep.
That's how you grow. Organically, it's by consistency. Like Don in the Sacramento market, I was there the whole part. That's why I learned all this shit, man. And I talked to Don about this a lot of times, man, about being consistent and this and that. Everything I talked to him about, he was right on. He told me, yeah, you're right on the money. You got to be consistent, and Don was, man. Even times he took a hickey and lost money. One time when that Garza and Tony Lopez co-main event, they only did 800. He lost money. I know he did. But he continued. He believed in his game plan, the process, and he knew that he kept on doing it the right way or the way he did it in the past, which made him successful. It would be successful again in Sacramento. And at his prime, Tony was a man in Sacramento. Him and Garza, they were big draws. And Tony, back in 1990, when he fought Jorge Paez, that fight was sold out a month before the fight. And that was with no social media. A month before they fight, when they announced the fight, or 6 weeks, 2 weeks later, the fight was sold out, 17,500. That fight was so hot, it was getting national attention nationwide. Okay, this was no social media. This through regular media channels. Okay, radio, TV, newspaper. NBC showed up, and like I said, man, because there was so much buzz on this fight, man. Because Paez, man, everybody saw him at NBC. He was a Mexican Hispanic favorite that fans wanted to see. So Tony was the champion. Hey, man, it made for a great matchup, and it was a great fight. And yeah. But the thing is, Don, he grew this shit, organically, starting with Tony. Okay, without Tony, this fight wouldn't have been a success in Sacramento because the whole Sacramento came out to support him. I was there, man. It was crazy. Crazy night.
Yeah, you're talking about the Rocky Lockridge fight, correct?
No, I'm talking about when he fought Jorge Paez.
Oh, Jorge Paez. Holy shit. I was going to say the Rocky Lockridge fight was also, I think, the biggest crowd up to that point at the Arco Arena.
That's the fight he won the title. But the thing is, when he was champion for a while, listen, Joe, when he was a champion for a while and he was shown on NBC more, over the years, then when Paez moved up to 130 and they made that fight, everybody wanted to see it because Paez was on NBC consistently. Tony Lopez was on NBC. So everybody knew who the fuck they were. And when they made the fight, within 2 weeks, the fight was sold out. A month before the fight, Don told me, hey, man, tickets are sold out. I was like, shit. He goes, yes, they're sold out. He didn't pay 1 penny for advertising. Okay. It's the fight sold itself because they fight fans, if they know there's a hot fight going on, they're gonna buy. They're gonna, they're not gonna steal this shit. Okay, they're gonna buy. They're gonna spend their money, whether it's pay-per-view or money, and that's what they did. And at that time, they broke Muhammad Ali's record at the gate when he fought Ken Norton in San Diego. They broke $750,000, and back nowadays that's like a $3 million gate. And they did it in like Ferdy Pacheco. That I like Ferdy, but he said a lot of smart shit back then. I didn't like. the little cow town, not bad for a little cow town of 300.
Kind of an asshole. Yeah.
300, not bad for a little cow town, 350,000 people, man. They did 17,500. Yeah, man. Sacramento was booming back then, man, because of the club shows Don was doing, the fighters. You talk to G Funky, man. I hear there's a lot of gyms in Sacramento now. Tony Lopez told me that, but no good fighters, no good trainers, and definitely no promoters. So the market ain't growing. Back then, there was only 3 gyms back then. 1 promoter and the fighters, you know what I mean? The fighters, a lot of good fighters, guys that didn't become champion, got a lot of contenders, and it was like I said, it was a great fight town, man. But San Antonio is such a lot bigger market. And if you keep on doing it the right way, cultivating it and believing in the process and doing the right things on a consistent basis, good things are going to happen, man. You could develop the future champions. You don't need to go to fucking Golden Boy or Al Heyman. They're going to be Top Rank will be calling you. When you got a good fighter and you're getting 10,000 people there, shit, they're going to be calling you, man, to do business. All right.
That's it.
And guess what? And guess what? They're going to be protecting you too. Okay.
That's it. That's the plan, guys. Well, you know what? And Gogue. So once again, guys, I was the ring announcer for Bam Rodriguez's 3rd professional fight at the event center in San Antonio, Texas. So it brings me great pride to say this. Who
was a promoter and who was the main event?
Triple Promotions and TMB. I don't even remember who the main event was, but once again, it was a packed house. We were able to squeeze. I want to say Leha Jr. his 2nd fight. I want to say, but yeah, we were able to squeeze we were able to squeeze 5,000 people into that place. It used to be an old furniture factory warehouse, and we got it for very cheap, and we packed the place. Yeah, I was a ring announcer that night. That was one of the last fights I called, but before I started playing music again. So,
and who was the main? Who was the promoter? Rick Moronis.
Rick. Oh, it was technically AAA Promotions because Rick hadn't gotten his promotional license yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were all helping Rick. So.
Yeah. Okay. So
and it was a huge success. Yep.
Good.
That was Bam's 3rd professional fight, and now it brings me such honor and joy to say that he's become the first fighter in the history of San Antonio boxing to be a unified champion in any division. And now he's the unified champ of the flyweights. Yep.
He's a real champion. He ain't no fucking fake champion like that other Barrios.
No. Yep.
He ain't no champion. I ain't got no respect for Barrios in his belt.
Well, unfortunately, he's going to be elevated to the WBC welterweight champion as the WBC welterweight champion as soon as the WBC strips Crawford and
what a fucking joke boxing is. Instead of elevating them, put them in with somebody to fight for the belt, man. This
for the belt.
Yeah. Is such a fucking joke. It gives the meaning of world champion no meaning. It's, you know what I mean? It used to mean something when you were world champion. Oh man, you accomplished something special. But him elevating them to world champion and he didn't have to fight for the belt like Haney. Fuck these guys, man. That's why I don't respect I see a lot of these motherfuckers. When I go to these shows, I look at them like, I laugh, man. I don't respect them. I don't respect their belt. They pretty much been given everything. Now let the motherfucker fight a guy like Stanionis, okay?
Yep.
Then we'll find if he beats Stanionis for the vacant title, then I consider him a champion. But not the way they're doing it now. And then he's calling himself a fucking champ. Oh, get the fuck out of here, man. Bam's the world champion. Him, to me, the champions in San Antonio were Quiroga, Leha, and Bam. That's it. The other, Josh Franco, he won an interim title, did he? Yeah.
Josh Franco, yeah, he won an interim. Well, he won the regular WBA championship, and he was elevated as the WBA champion.
Okay.
And then he went
I
over
don't consider that. His
Yeah,
brother's
then
the real champion.
Yeah, his brother's the real champion. Yes, sir.
His brother's a real champion, and he proved it last night that he's a real champion. Okay,
That's it.
Beating another champion, a guy that's very, very difficult to fight. So him, Leha, and Quiroga are the only three champions I recognize.
Don't forget, John Michael Johnson pulled off the upset at Caesar's Palace. Yep,
knocked out Junior Jones.
Junior Jones to capture the IBF. And so,
WBA. He won the WBA title.
My apologies, sir. My apologies. Yeah, John Michael Johnson, who just opened up his new gym, Bam Bam, Bam Bam Gym. Yeah.
Okay. He hit them four. I'm sorry, John. I forgot all about you, baby. But you're a real champion because you beat Junior Jones.
That's right.
Tall, rangy, Thomas Hearns type of tall, rangy, long, can hit with the right hand. Back in the days, I called him the Thomas Hearns of the bantamweight division. He knocked him out. Okay.
Yep.
So he's a real champion. He won his belt authentically. Leha beat Azuma Nelson. Oh,
that's right.
Legendary.
And El Pekin Quiroga defeated Kid Hakim that night at the Hemisphere Arena.
Yeah, IBF, and he became the IBF champion. Now Bam Rodriguez, he beat Quadras, and he beat, he beat this guy. He's legit. The other, I don't recognize him, motherfuckers. I don't give him no respect.
It's funny. It's funny. I had that conversation with Jesse James Leha at a WBC presentation in the Alamo City. And they had all of the title holders, the supposed champions in the history, and he included Josh Franco as well as Mario Vargas in that.
That's disrespectful to Leha.
Yeah, and Leha was being kind, and I said, you know what, James, you're being nice. I said, let me ask you a question. Who did Mario Vargas beat to earn that distinction? And he squints a little bit and he smiles at me. I said, exactly. You've got to beat the man to be the man.
James is a real fighter. He knew the motherfuckers were giving them belts. He didn't have to go. They didn't have to earn it.
Yep.
Fuck. I don't respect Franco or Barrios as champions, man. Sorry, man. I'm pretty sure you're good people. But as far as recognizing you as a champion, which means something special to me back in the days. It meant something when you won. When you became world champion, it's like, oh my God, it meant something.
Yep.
Now it's so diluted with all these fucking belts and fighters getting elevated to titles without having to fight nobody. Like Haney, what a fucking joke he is. The way he won his belts and how they changed the rules and changed the weigh-in to earlier wins, so he can rehydrate and be stronger when he fought the next day. Man, these motherfuckers are
James, listen to this.
Joke.
Everyone found out it was leaked that he weighed in on the night of the Prograis fight, Devin Haney. He weighed in 25 pounds over the weight limit, so he realistically came in the ring as a super middleweight.
There ain't no rules that you like the IBF. I think they still got the rules that once you weigh in, like you fight at 130, you can't weigh more than 140 the next day weighing. Okay.
Yep. That's the IBF. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, I tell you what. So what's next? I will say this, and I just congratulated my brother Jesse Bam Rodriguez. I love their entire family.
Yeah.
Known them for over a decade. I initially met them at a Nonito Donaire media workout, and I've paid attention to his career ever since, and couldn't happen to a nicer group of people. So congratulations
and his brother, even though I don't recognize him as the champion, he's a damn good fighter.
He's an excellent fighter. Yep.
He's a damn good fighter. He ain't no fucking slouch. They should have put him in a fight against a real champion, which would have legitimized himself as a world champion, not the way they did it, man. That's
you know what? Well, you know what's funny? He actually can make a case, for being the first, trying to become the first unified champion in San Antonio, Because remember, he went over to Japan and lost a very questionable decision over there against the other title holder in the WBO. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Then the second time he went there, he didn't make weight.
Oh, yeah.
He was 5-6 pounds overweight.
Yeah, that was terrible. And yeah, that's why he's not fighting anymore. His head's just not in the game. But at least he's honest, unlike Jojo Diaz.
Yeah, these fucking fighters, man. They're such a fucking, oh God. I laugh at these motherfuckers nowadays. These fighters nowadays, you can't compare them to the fighters I grew up with.
Yep. Yeah, that's another huge problem in this era of the business. They expect millions and don't want to take any risks in the ring, and people are tired of seeing it. It's come to a head, guys. Something has to change. Guess
what? The gravy train ends, okay, after this year. It's going to be, hey, here's what you're going to be. Like you told me about the Figueroa and Ray Vargas fight. They wanted too much money, so Steven said, hey, fuck you guys, man. We'll get someone cheaper. So they had to sit. Is that what happened?
Yep, that's exactly what happened. And it's, well, you know what? That's just going to be the new way. You're going to see a lot of now. Keith Thurman's, Danny Garcia's, Andy Ruiz's next year, all across the board. You may see Teofimo Lopez if he doesn't want to play ball also. Yep, that's it.
I don't have a problem. Fuck him.
Yeah, look, no fighter should be able to hold the sport hostage or hold their respective division hostage.
No fighter is bigger than is bigger than this great sport. Okay, no fighter. There's always someone to replace you, just like the NFL. You know what I mean?
That's it. I tell you what. But I will say this though. Congratulations to Sonny Edwards. Boy, he really showed a lot of heart, toughness, and skill. Boy, that was a elite level, very skilled chess match, and a brutal one at that we saw last night. What a pleasant surprise and an early Christmas present. Thank you to both fighters. And I will say this. I think in my mind, Sonny Edwards, compared to the way he usually fights, even though he lost to a great fighter like Bam Rodriguez, I can't wait to see him fight again. His stock rose from a loss. That's the way it should be, James. I can't wait to see him in the ring again.
Well, Eddie Bam's in a vacate, move up to 115, so the titles will be open. So he'll get a chance to win the title again in England. You know what I mean, with Eddie backing him.
Yep. And there it is, guys. And well, I will say this though. But yeah, so congratulations to all the winners on that card. And congratulations to Jericho O'Quinn for putting the heavily favored Peter McGrail on his ass. And congratulations to MJ Akhmadaliev.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, you know what? That was a great fight and a great matchup. Great job of matchmaking by our brother Kevin Rooney Jr. And you know what?
Well, it was look, that fight was mandatory. It wasn't about matchmaking.
Oh, no. You're absolutely right. It was mandated by the WBA, wasn't it?
That fight was a good fight.
Right? Yep.
That was a solid fight. Two guys, because Gonzalez, that was a mandatory, Joe. Okay, that's
you're right. You're right. It was mandated by the WBA. You're right. Yep. So I tell you what, that was
Joe. Listen, listen. That Akhmadaliev broke him down round by round.
Yep.
Just physically, that guy can hit hard, man, with both hands. Boxed beautifully, kept his distance, used his footwork beautifully. Didn't stay in the pocket and get into a street fight with this guy who wanted to get in the street fight. Every time he got close, he took a couple steps back, kept his, checked him, touched him with his jab to make sure, he had the right range, and then he fire his combination. Then he move around. Then every time the guy got close, he pushed him off or took a couple steps back and to get his range. He wanted medium range and let his combinations go. Broke him down with body shots. Hit him with that beautiful uppercut, catching him coming in. Mm-hmm. And he fought intelligently, boxed intelligently, and broke him down intelligently. Yeah, and used his jab proficiently, and yeah, because that guy is trained by Panda Jay.
Yep. I actually thought he might have he was going to pull off the upset going into that fight, Coach.
He's trained by Panda, okay?
Yep.
the guy that trains what's his name? Sabril Matias, Emmanuel Rodriguez. They train in the high altitude of Jicapilco, Mexico, over high altitude, meaning 8,500 feet. So he was in shape going into this fight. And if he wasn't that good, if he wasn't in that tremendous shape he was in, he would have got knocked out within 3 or 4 rounds. But because he was in such excellent condition, he was able to go the extra rounds. But he took a beating because that Abdullayev, when he's focused, when he's motivated, he's not distracted like the last fight where where he let his weight get too high. He's a beast to handle, man. He's athletic. He's got, good footwork, explosive puncher, good amateur pedigree, very intelligent. Yeah, man. And he'll fight for one of them belts when Inoue wins the title. When he unifies the title, the belts will be empty. So he'll be a champion again next year.
That's technically going to be happening the day after Christmas, right? Inoue versus Tapales. And once again, guys, over the last 2 years, that will be, if it doesn't end in a draw, which I can't see it being a draw with Inoue in it, that will be the 7th time that we've seen an undisputed champion crowned over the last 2 years. So guys, the best indeed are fighting the best. Yep. Yeah. And there it is, guys. It's been a great 2023. But you wouldn't know it because next year, it's going to be a far cry from what we've seen this year with less TV dates and even more pay-per-views. Yep. Yeah. That's going to be, oh boy. I'll tell you what. So you've been spoiled this year. Anyone who likes to complain consistently about the product. We've had a tremendous year, but moving on, there was also an event in Minneapolis last night at the Armory, and we had a sensational face plant one punch knockout in the co-main event. But let's start off with the headliner. David Morrell Jr. makes light work, Coach Ronnie Shields fighter, of his former fighter, Sena Agbeko, who talked a lot of shit going into this, bad-mouthing Morrell, bad-mouthing Coach Ronnie, like they were somehow avoiding Sena Agbeko. And then afterwards, after he got knocked the F out in the second round, he commenced to saying that David Morrell Jr. is juicing to the nines. He hits way too hard, that's not natural. What are your thoughts, Gogue?
When he said juicing?
Yep. You're pleading the fifth?
I'm very suspicious about a lot of these motherfuckers. Okay, just say that. Leave it like that.
Yep, it's the worst kept secret. But look. And before we move forward, and we're just gonna look at this. Marcos Chaz, welcome to the show, sir. Morrell's a hype job. He has no fans. He's got no fans, but he's got a lot more skill than pretty much everyone in the division outside of Canelo Alvarez. Chingao, that dude is the total package. Why do you think no one wants to fight him? And once again, he's not a boogeyman, because the only reason why no one wants to fight him is because he isn't a ticket seller. What do we like to say on the show, Coach? There are no boogeymen, only non-ticket sellers. Yeah, that's it. But your thoughts on David Morrell Jr.'s future, because, that's a problem. That's a problem for him in this division, isn't it? And he only has realistically about 2 fights left at 68.
No, that's not my problem. It's their problem. They'll let Al figure that shit out, and his manager, the Cubist, let them figure that shit out. Man, I could give him.
Yep. Well, he called out immediately David Benavidez. But what is the likelihood of that fight happening anytime soon?
That's a fight that should be made, and the winner fights Canelo, okay? But it ain't gonna happen. That's boxing for you, man.
But why isn't it gonna happen, Coach?
You think Benavidez is gonna want to fight a guy like that? A big high risk, low reward guy like that?
For no money.
They're trying to make Benavidez into the next pay-per-view star. They can't afford to take a loss. Yeah.
It's funny. David Benavidez, after his sensational knockout victory over Demetrius Andrade, coach. And the last thing he stated to the press in attendance said, you know what? Welcome to the Benavidez era. And everyone started cheering. And then we found out the next week that he only did 60,000 pay-per-view purchases.
Yeah.
And then the
He's
time
not
before,
a star yet.
yeah. And then the following week or 2 weeks later, we see Devin Haney. Once again, he has that beautiful performance against a very limited Regis Prograis. And yeah, his dad says, you Tank, you're the old face of boxing. This is the new face of boxing, Devin Haney. Yeah. And then we find out his pay-per-view does 50,000 purchases. Yeah. What's going on here, coach? Why do these guys think they're pay-per-view stars and big-time attractions? Why?
They sell at the gate, but that, if you really want to be, you got to be a superstar. You got to put pay-per-view numbers. Okay, you got to drive pay-per-view numbers, and they're not pay-per-view. They're not pay-per-view superstars. They're doing good at the gate. Okay, which is good. I mean, I commend Bill and Devin. And Eddie. They promoted the shit out of that fight, and they did good. They created a lot of buzz, and people came out to support them. 19,000 or something like that. Yep. So they did good. Yeah, but they're not a superstar in the fact that at the pay-per-view level yet, man. They're not even in the they're at the single A level at the minor leagues.
Yeah. Look, and because they're products of inflated purses, they think they're big stars already. Yeah. This is what paying out inflated purses. This is what it does. Okay, we can't.
Delusional.
It's aside from piracy, it's the biggest problem concerning the sport right now. But let's say hello to our dear friends in the chat because we still have some things to do. We got to talk about the Day of Reckoning, and we got to find out whether or not Gogue is lit about this, looking forward to this event, or if he's feeling a little lukewarm about it. But let's say hello to our dear friends in the chat very quickly. Big shout out to my brother Jesus M. Saludos, coach. Sonny came to fight, stood his ground, countered Bam coming in, but Bam was patient, found his openings, hence the knockout in the ninth. And guys, I hope you followed our betting strategy because I stated I like my betting strategy for you guys. A straight up victory for Sonny Edwards, hedged with a group round bet for Bam Rodriguez, a knockout from 9 through 12. If you followed that strategy, well, you won big because the odds were plus 900 for that. So there it is. And our shout out to our brother, Big Luke. Woo-hoo! We love you, Luke. I'm going to call you this week, brother. You've been in our prayers, and I hope you're doing well, my friend. God bless you. We love you, and Merry Christmas, man. My brother, Outlaw. Jojo and Coach, thank you for always supporting the coach, my friend. And Jesus M also says Morrell needs to fight Mbili. Christian Mbili. Exactly. Neither one of them have fans. So how do you increase your fan base? You increase your market value? You have to fight the best. Got to be stuck in tough. That's a great fight. Great job of matchmaking there, Jesus M. Two heavy hitters. Two very athletically gifted guys. But at this point, Morrell would shred him. He's got skills, especially on the inside. And in the, this is a perfect time to talk about this one. Jesus M says, Rayo, KO of Colbert. Now, once again, this was a rematch. A lot of people thought that Rayo Valenzuela should have earned the win in the first fight. And to make sure he won, he didn't leave it in the judge's hands. Round 6 comes around, and boom, he was face planted. That was all she wrote. You could have counted to 30, and he would have still been out. Coach, did you see this fight? What did you think?
I didn't see the fight. No.
Yep. And there it is. But, yeah, well, you know what? And once again, it's very difficult to watch both fights. One, it's during Christmas, and everyone's out doing their shopping. And two, you put two fights that a lot of people want to watch, but they have to choose between the two. I don't like trying to watch two fights at once because then I always miss something. Right?
I'm always going to watch the better fight, and the better fight was Edwards. That was intriguing. And
that's it.
And bam. Yeah, not Rayo or Morrell, who I knew they were in mismatches. Fuck that.
Yep. That's it. That's it. And we want to welcome our brother Hands of Stone. Damn, I relate a lot to Coach Gogue. Well, yes, as most old school fight fans do. Okay, because we fell in love with the sport during a much healthier era in which guys didn't look like they were afraid to get hit. They looked like they couldn't wait to taste that leather. Oh, there was nothing like it back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think the 90s were by far the last great era of boxing. Wouldn't you say, Coach?
I would say so. 2000, it started going downhill. It was still happening, bumping. HBO and Showtime were putting on great fights. Then the Mayweather era started after that. And the culture of the fighters changed, okay? They became businessmen instead of fighters.
That's it. This is a genuine problem within the sport. In my opinion, the biggest problem besides piracy. I want to welcome my brother Juice. He's one of the best fans I know. He supports every platform and every promoter. He goes out and sees live, live shows and supports every. He just supports boxing, period. He's one of the best fans I know today. Salute to you, my friend. Salute to Warwick Boxing. Great weekend of fights from Showtime and his own. Farewell to Showtime with their amazing and emotional tribute. Yes, I actually choked up. I look forward to Amazon's presence in boxing. Let's just hope it doesn't play out like the distribution deal with Fox. Then that's going to be a terrible look for boxing. But hey, we always try to be hopeful and optimistic on this channel. Yeah. So guys, I can't wait to see. I can't wait till an announcement. Yeah. Slight Tendency says fans today are a lot like my ex-wife, bitter and always looking for something to complain about. Yes, sir. They do act like Real Housewives of Atlanta, don't they? Ching out. And Big Luke says, Coach, I remember when the Don warned us on the show, Mayweather-Pacquiao had better turn out to be an entertaining fight. Well, it didn't, and it proved to be costly for the health of the sport. Do you remember all those pay-per-view fans trying to get a class action suit to sue because it wasn't, they said Pacquiao wasn't healthy even going into the fight, and they felt ripped off.
Wanted their money back. Yeah.
Yep. That is not good for any pastime, guys. Oh, boy. Once again, guys, mainstream casual fans, they just want to see a fight. And, yeah, didn't really resemble one, did it? And there it is. Want to give a big shout-out to my brother, Tycho TV. Thank you so much for always supporting the coach, sir. Jesus M also says, yeah, NFL doesn't charge us pay-per-view buys per game. So why are we paying for Regis and versus Haney fights?
Yep.
Because these assholes, look, if we still got if they had a large enough subscription base, they wouldn't be charging you anything but the subscription, because that was their ideology coming into this business. But it didn't work out that way. They were paying millions to see Canelo fight for all of these guys, paying out inflated purses to attract talent, and they were losing. They were bleeding millions, right? Bleeding millions of dollars, guys. And so what did they do? Raise their subscription price and also charge pay-per-view prices on top of it. They're not doing well either, guys. That's what you get. This is what you get when you don't have large subscription numbers or good ratings. So the guys who are interested, they end up paying for it. That's it. And that seems to be the norm now. And I can't see it getting any better. Can you, Coach? Not anytime soon. Yeah, and there it is. Deuce. Thank you, sir. Yeah, and he says, y'all said Bam didn't have any feet. I said that it's his glaring deficiency. He hasn't been throughout his entire career, even in the amateurs. His chink in the armor was cutting off the ring and closing the distance. Guess what? He didn't have to do that last night. Well, once again, why did Sonny Edwards incorporate that fight style, you think, Coach?
Who knows, man? I have no idea.
Yeah, it didn't.
His coaches.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. But I tell you what, it made Bam look like a superstar. So, and there you have it. There you have it. He really didn't have to show us that wrinkle. Didn't have to show us whether or not he improved. And so there it is. Let's see. Yeah, my brother Hyphy, thank you for always supporting the coach, sir. But I tell you what, let's move on. Hold on. Anthony Manzano, thank you so much for joining us, sir. He says, Coach, do you think the next fight for Bam Rodriguez is going to be for the undisputed at 112? Or do you no, he already stated he's going to move up to 115. Yeah. He doesn't like, he looked like he was miserable all fight week. Coach, tell us about that, though. Who's the worst fighter that you've ever worked with? The fighter that had the worst mood and the hardest time cutting weight, and he just didn't want to even talk to the media, and that was Bam this week.
Oh, shit. If you take care of business and keep your weight in check between fights, making weight is still tough, but it's more, what do you call it? It's not as strenuous. It's not as, like you're killing yourself every day and you don't feel as miserable. But if, you keep your weight in check between fights, so when you start taking your weight down to make the weight, it's not as, like you said, you don't go through those miserable weeks or days, just thinking about making weight. And it takes discipline, man, discipline. Bernard Hopkins was the best at that, man. He never let his weight go more than 167, 168 between fights. Right when he got done fighting, he was always in the gym, back in the gym 2 days later, shadow boxing, staying loose. Always eating. The most important thing is always eating the right foods. Okay.
Yep.
Not pigging out and drinking and all that. That's these fighters. They let their weight get so high. Then also when it's time to, get back into camp, you know what I mean? If they get, the older they get, the slower their metabolism gets, and it's gonna be harder for them to make weight. I try to explain that shit to my fighters now, and sometimes when it's time to get when fight's done, okay, hey, that's great and dandy, you look good, you won, okay, it's time to get recommitted to the process again, to focus on the process, which means between fights, training, okay, not like you're getting ready for fight, but staying in shape, doing strength conditioning to get stronger. But the main thing is watching the food you eat, okay? Not pigging out, okay? Letting your weight go up 30, 40 pounds like I see a lot of these motherfuckers nowadays. They have no self-discipline between the fights, no professionalism, okay? They just let themselves go, man. Drinking, partying, eating everything. Yeah.
Yep.
You can't do that, man. A professional prize fighter, you got to live that lifestyle 24/7. And that's, when you make some money, you attain a little stuff, you get a little success, you lose focus on all the things you need to do on a consistent basis to stay on top. Okay. And that's why I said after every fight, enjoy for a few days, then recommit yourself to the process. Okay.
Yep.
Of doing all the things you need to do. Okay. To stay on top, focus on getting better, to improve in areas where you're weak. There's always something you can improve on to become a better fighter. You got to be dedicated and focused 24/7, 365. You got to be hungry all the time, man.
Yep. That's it, guys. And the reason why Bam felt that he could do it with relative ease, because he was jumping up on 2 weeks' notice to fight Carlos Cuadras for the WBC title at 115, and he started at minimum weight, straw weight. So imagine his surprise when he took some time off, had that jaw fixed, and he had a baby. Congratulations, sir. He had his first baby. And imagine his surprise when he tried to lose weight, and it was very difficult because he had put on some pounds during that time. Yep.
Joe, when you make money, you get to that lifestyle where, you get lax, you lose focus, you start eating what you want, you're letting your weight go up. You don't check your weight all the time. All right.
Yep.
Then when it's time to get ready for a fight, you got to change your habits, and and when you change your habits, you got to make some sacrifices, and that's, it's painful, but fighters, you know what I mean? Yeah, they don't want to, like I said, they don't want to do it the right way by focus, by recommitting themselves to the process a few days after the fight, okay, and doing and the process is doing all the things you need to do on a daily basis to correct things on a consistent basis, okay, that got you there, all right? Anyway.
That's it, and we want to say hello to my brother James. The boxing source. If Bam fights Estrada at 15 and wins, he could fight Ioka. That was a gentleman who his brother fought twice already, Josh Franco. And a lot of people felt he got jobbed against the aging Ioka in Japan earlier this year.
That could be a big fight in Japan too.
Yep, because it would be avenging his brother's loss. There it is. G Funky. Sorry I'm late.
What up,
no
G?
Notification again. That's our brother G Funky. And guys, please, 2 members of the War Week team, G Funky Boxing, who you can hear every Monday with Rick Glazier and myself, as well as James from the Boxing Source, you can hear every Tuesday night with me and Ronnie Shields. Thank you guys for being a part of the team. We couldn't do this without you. We appreciate it. So please go support their channels on YouTube, please. Also, my brother Khalid. Welcome to the channel. What do y'all think about Ryo knocking Colbert unconscious? Well, I tell you what, maybe this will teach him not to run his mouth so much in between fights and leading up to the fight. Jeez, because he likes to talk a lot of shit, Colbert, and I actually think it's kind of funny. But yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens, guys. It happens in boxing, and you know what? The fans always win out. Someone has to win, someone has to lose. Knockouts happen. Let me ask you, and Anthony Manzano has a question for you, Coach. Coach, do you give respect to Surreal Matias, or you haven't seen enough of him to get that respect yet?
Oh, I've been giving that guy respect for years. That guy's a fighter. Okay, he's a fighter. He, you know, a guy that's physical and aggressive, wants to fight. He don't fuck around with that, playing it safe and executing this, you know, the sweet science. Oh, I respect that guy, man. Oh, he's hot. You know, he's not only a pressure fighter with a good chin, but he puts his combinations together at a high volume. Okay, and he can hit, and he could break it down with body shots. He could break it down with them short, compact combinations inside, the short, compact uppercuts, the hooks, and everything. Oh, I respect Matias. Yeah, he's a fighter. To me, he's a fighter.
Yep. And there it is, guys. There it is. I tell you what, also, Khalid also says this. Yeah, MJ is the best 122-pounder right now. He was off against Tapales because of an injury. Well, in what Coach just finished telling us, you can't balloon up between fights, even if you have an injury. He injured his hand, right? And so what happened? Well, he ballooned up nicely, and it ended up being a fat camp before the Tapales set, but the Tapales fight in San Antonio. And I told everyone that was upset special, guys. And guess what? It happened. Now now Tapales is in Japan, going to be taking on Inoue on the 26th. Sorry, MJ. You snooze, you lose, brother. But yeah, he looked tremendous last night. Absolutely incredible. Let's see. What else? I think that's, hold on. Troll Master Mike, welcome to the show, sir. He says Morel versus the winner of Jaime. I leave my mouth open, Munguia versus Ryder. What do you think of that, Coach?
Morel versus winner. It ain't going to happen.
No, the winner of that fight is more than likely going to take on Canelo and Cinco de Mayo if they can find funding for that huge guarantee, right? Tyco TV says, Coach, I had to watch the Showtime card. It was the last one. Coach, what was your favorite fight? And there's so many to mention. What are some of your favorite fights that you've seen over the last 38 years from Showtime? Keep in mind, the very first fight on Showtime Championship Boxing was Marvin Hagler taking on the undefeated John the Beast Mugabe, moving up from 54. And boy, I tell you what a series starter that was. That was an all-time great fight, Coach. Your thoughts on what the product turned into at the end of their 38-year tenure?
It turned into shit, dog shit. Okay, it started off with a great fight with Hagler and Mugabe. I remember that fight. Hagler, I think it was the 6th round of the fight. Boy, ooh. But you know, Hagler's broke him down, wore him down, and eventually stopped him and everything, man. But Mugabe he was a game warrior, man. Physically strong, could punch, big heart, was a fighter, man. Mickey Duff's guy, from Uganda. Kampala, Uganda. Yeah, Mickey Duff's guy. Mickey Duff, the late great Hall of Fame manager. And Ooh, that was a barn buster. Oof.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite fights of all time, Coach, because Mugabe, he brought it. He brought it. It was his first fight, and what was he? 26-0 with 26 knockouts?
Something like that, man. Yeah, he's vicious puncher.
Yep.
That was a great stylistic matchup, man, between him and Hagler. And that was after Hagler knocked out Tommy Hearns, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah. It was a great fight. And from there, then the 90s, great fights.
Tremendous.
Tyson was signed at Showtime. Then the 2000s, Jay Larkin, he continued the legacy. Then the guy that went to HBO, Ken Hirschman, boy.
Yep.
Yeah, he did a great job. Then when Hirschman left, Espinoza took over. Ooh, it started fucking sinking like the Titanic because he let that motherfucker poisonous Al Heyman, the locust, I call him, who come in there and destroy everything. Now, if they would have kept Joe, you think they would have been they would have dumped Showtime boxing if they continued to have the best matchups and the great ratings? Hell no, they would have kept it. Because the ratings were dog shit and nobody tuned in. The people up top above Showtime, they saw it and they said, "Ah, the hell with this shit. It ain't even worth it no more."
Well, they just saw the numbers. And once again, guys, this is why I state piracy has to stop, because Showtime delivered an excellent product. I was happy with the product all across the board on every platform this year. It was truly a memorable year this year, 2023 in boxing. But you look at the numbers. Top Rank just came out with their numbers. On ESPN, they didn't have one event that eclipsed the 1 million viewer mark ever.
Really?
Yep. Their average was between 550 and 600,000. That's not good, Coach. It's bad all around. Where people aren't even subscribing any longer. They're just getting the stream easily online and watching it. This is a problem because
hey Joe, I'm not talking about pay-per-view. Fuck the pay-per-view. I'm talking about just tuning in for free.
That's it. That's right. No one's subscribing any longer. That's what I'm saying, and they cannot track it. And that's it. So the only guys paying for shit, 350,000 according to Tim Bradley.
Well,
that's it.
Well, Joe, they did they averaged 500,000 to 600,000, a lot better than Showtime, where it was 200,000, 225.
Yeah, but ESPN's free. Cable, it's on cable. Yeah. But I tell you what, that's dismal. And can you imagine then? Showtime's a mainstream platform. Can you imagine how bad the DAZN numbers are? Guys, you have to start at least subscribing. Leave it to the mainstream and casuals who only come once in a while to pay for that shit, the pay-per-views. But at least subscribe, guys, because all of those events exclusively only appeal to you guys. That's it. Coach, very quickly, we've got a big doubleheader in Saudi Arabia this Saturday afternoon. And in the main event, it's going to be Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. Otto Wallin and Dimitri Salita have already stated in the media they are going to pull off the upset. They don't think Anthony Joshua still has the hunger to compete at this level any longer. Your thoughts on the chances of an upset this Saturday?
I really don't give a fuck about this card. The only reason they're showing why they're showing this card is because they want to make a big match between Wilder and Joshua. But these two, there has been. That fight should have been made 5 years ago when they were at their peak and everybody was salivating for that fight. But what do? Deontay Wilder, I want to be the A-side, and I'm going to hold off because I think I could get 100 million. He's fuck you, Deontay Wilder. And Joshua, the same, prima donna. They were both posturing. They really didn't want to fight each other, to tell you the truth. Because if they really wanted to fight each other, they would have made the fight. But both were sticking their chest out and this and that, trying to hold out. They ruined a great super fight when both fighters were hot. Okay? Yep. Both fighters were in their prime hot, like Ali Frazier won. And what do? They fucking shit on the fans when they both said, "Oh, no. all that posturing and businessman. So that's why I can't stand this fucking sport. These fights should have been made when they were like Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard won, Duran Leonard won. That's when, you know what I mean? That's when fighters were at the apex of their careers, and the whole boxing world wanted to see it. That's why boxing fans, that's why there ain't no boxing fans no more, because it's shit like this, these dumb motherfuckers, these businessmen fighters, man. While they're, now they're trying to fucking salvage it, and trying to make it like it's a suit. It don't mean shit no more. These guys are has-beens, man. Since then, he got knocked out twice by Fury. Okay, and Joshua, he's a shell of himself. He don't have that hunger and fire like he used to. They're just trying to cash out, Joe. That's all. And they got a sugar daddy in Saudi Arabia that's funding this shit. But anyway, yeah, man, who gives a fuck about that fight? I'm not watching. I could give a fuck. You know what I mean? That fight should have been made a long time ago, and it would have. Oh my God, it would have been USA versus England. Deontay Wilder. And if Deontay Wilder would have won that fight and knocked him out in spectacular fashion, he would have been the next great heavyweight, the hottest, biggest, marketable heavyweight since Mike Tyson. Yeah.
Yep. I tell you what, in my opinion, he would have been a big star had he done that to Tyson Fury as well, because that fight. Say what you want about it, guys, and say what you want about Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder now, but that fight it had a huge fight feel, and everyone was buzzing about the rematch between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. And obviously you saw yes, sir.
Joe, they never did over 1 million pay-per-view buys every time they fought, did they? Didn't they? No,
I'm convinced that it's virtually impossible, but yeah, you're right. But it did. I will say this though, according to Museo, the tracking service, which Fox used, applied to see how many people were going to steal this event. And over 15 million worldwide watched it. Piracy, guys, is a huge problem. I'm truly convinced. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
If they would have fucking, like I said, if they were big like they thought, they would have still, even with all the piracy, they still would have did 2 million.
Right? Yeah, that's true. That's true. They weren't big stars coming into the event. But yeah, Tyson Fury exploded shortly after, and especially after that third fight. Oh boy, that was breathtaking.
And they keep on complaining about piracy, man. Fuck that. Put this shit on closed circuit.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Put it on closed circuit so you won't be able to steal it.
Yep. You know what? I think that's a great idea. I've been a huge proponent of putting it back in movie theaters or big concert halls. Right? Like my dad used to go see fights all the time at the Majestic Theater, which holds about 5,000 in San Antonio.
I used to see closed circuit back in Sacramento when Hagler fought Hearns. It was at the Memorial, the downtown Memorial, where all the great Don Chargan shows were, and it was sold out. Yeah.
Yep. It was sold out. Yep. And it was the next best thing to seeing a live event, because you had the crowds and you felt that kind of energy. It was beautiful. And I think we should return it to that. Unfortunately, I don't know if anyone would show up these days. But I will say this, though. So on the card, guys, Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker, Dimitri Bivol versus Lyndon Arthur, mismatch. Daniel Dubois versus big fat baby Jarrell Miller, which I think is a great fight because there's a lot of questions surrounding both heavyweights. Lose or go home, basically. Jai Opataya for the cruiserweight division against Ellis Zorro. Arslanbek Makhmadov against Ajit Kabayel. Who gives a shit? Frank Sanchez versus Junior Fa. Frank Sanchez is going to whoop Junior Fa's ass. And Philip Ergovich against Mark Demori from Australia. And this is what Coach Ronnie thinks of that fight. He's on vacation now. He's not even going to be in attendance. He's not going to be in Philip's corner.
Who is he sending?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'll find out tomorrow. But yeah, according to Coach Ronnie, he's going on vacation this week.
Yeah.
So he's not even going to make the trip to Saudi.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, that's how much he thinks of this outing, how competitive he thinks it's going to be. Yeah. So, Coach has a point. Even though it's got all of these supposed names within the heavyweight division, and this purse is costing the Saudis, the Saudi royal family, over $100 million or about $100 million. That's why this is on pay-per-view. DAZN decide to pay the licensing fee, and they have to put it on pay-per-view out of necessity. But it's going to be $40 pay-per-view if you have the subscription price on DAZN. So in essence, $65 if you don't. Coach, is it worth it? 2 days before Christmas.
Oh God. Fuck no, man. I won't pay for that shit.
Check out last comment of the night before we bid everyone an excellent evening. Anthony says, Joe, please read my last comment about my favorite Showtime fight of all time. Oh, this is a good one. Coach, my favorite fight of all time for Showtime was the Vasquez versus Rafa rivalry. So you like all, well, I tell you what, I only count 3. Technically it's 4. The 4th fight, both guys were shot. But, Coach, that 2nd and 3rd fight were truly breathtaking. In my opinion, that's what was your favorite out of the trilogy, sir? The 2nd one?
I was there in Hidalgo, Texas for that one. Who the fuck? I had a fighter fighting that card. I can't remember, but I had a guy fought on the card on that one. And that 2nd one, woo. The 1st one was, woo. It was at the, I think the Home Depot, the Gladiator Pit back then. Yeah.
Yep. The Carson Center. Carson.
In Carson. Yeah. That was the 2nd one. Yeah, man. They were all, man. Let me tell you, man. They're all damn good. I fought on the 2nd one and I fought on the 4th one in LA, the final one. Yeah.
Yep. I tell you what, though, guys, those fights were breathtaking, Anthony. My personal favorites. I honestly love the entire tournament that Ken Hirschman set up at 135 pounds, with it culminating in one of the greatest fights in the modern era. That's Jose Luis Castillo versus the late great Diego Corrales, your man, who's now been inducted into the IBHOF in Canastota, the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Coach Gogue, let's end with some words on the late great Diego Corrales.
Oh, that fight he had with Castillo, the first one. Ooh. Boy, I remember I was living in Houston. I watched the fight, boy. I called him right afterwards, left a message, man. I was so excited, man. Oh, man, it was incredible. But Diego, oh, yeah, I've known Diego since he was a little kid, 8 or 9 years old, when he had his first amateur fight in Sacramento at the Sacramento POW. I remember that. I remember it right now. Yeah, he fought a guy with his first amateur fight. He fought a guy with 25 fights. Kind of overmatched him, and I think they stopped at the 2nd round. Yeah. And he comes out crying and everything. And he was a little kid, man. Came up like this high to me. He was only like 80 pounds, 90 pounds. And I said, hey, man, just hang in there, kid. But I seen him grow. Okay. I seen him grow through the amateurs. And by the time when he was 14, I told his dad, hey, man, it's time to get him out of this amateur gym, start bringing him to the gym we had in Sacramento, because I had a lot of great sparring there. And I said, that's the only way your son's going to grow, because he was dominating everybody. And his dad was complaining that he needed better sparring. I said, hey, man, go spar pros. So, put him in with everybody over there. Back then, they had all the world champions, Tony Lopez, Roberto Garza. They had Richard Duran and good, other fighters over there, man. Willie Jorn, future world champion, a guy named Jerry Glasper. And there's a lot of guys he sparred to get better. And I told the dad, of course, he's going to learn, but it's going to take him a while. By the time he's 16, they ain't going to have to hold back. And I was right on the money. When he turned 16, guys like Tony Lopez, 3-time champion, Willie Jorn, man, Richard Duran. I mean, they had to fight him. He was on even he was on even level in sparring with them guys, man. And I remember the sparring sessions he had with Tony. He'd go 6 rounds, 8 rounds, no problem. Willie Jordan, Durant. Oh, man. I remember because I started working with him when he was 14, helping him out with sparring. But when he turned 16, I started helping him more. the dad wanted me to, just help train him and everything. So I started training him. And I remember the first big tournament he won was the Pan Am Trials. It's a national tournament where the top 4 fighters boxed off, and the winner would make the Pan Am team for the U.S. and fight in the Pan American Games, which is the second largest Olympic event in the world next to the Olympics itself. So I remember Diego, he called me. I was in camp with Tony when we were getting ready to fight Chavez. I said, hey, man, I'm in camp, but when I get back, we got 6 weeks to get ready. So when I got back in the camp, I started helping him get ready. And, and I wanted to test him to see where he was at. So I called this one guy who was ranked number 4 in the world by the IBF at featherweight, undefeated, 25-0. I don't want to mention his name, but I want to see where Diego was at, 2 weeks for the fight. So we drove to San Francisco to go spar him. Diego beat the shit out of him. Yeah, every round. This guy was number 4 in the world. 25-0, and Diego beat the shit out of him every round for 8 rounds. Wasn't even tired. I looked at Diego. I said, I think we're ready, man. I think we're ready. And yeah, he won that tournament, the Pan Am Games. He shined. And yeah, that was I've worked with him in the amateurs. That was my time in amateur with him. And I worked with him and his dad, 3 years. Yeah. And when he turned pro, I was supposed to train him with his dad. And, he got in a little trouble, had to get out of town. So that never materialized. But I always kept in touch with him and everything, man. And over the years, and, watched him grow in the pros and everything. But yeah, I remember when he was a little kid, man. Yeah, first amateur fight all the way to his last one. And that Pan Am Trials, that was the first and only major national tournament he won. Because every time he got like the USA Championships, he lost in the finals, the National Golden Gloves, the Sports Festival, the Junior Olympics. He would lose. Every time he get to the quarterfinals, semis, or finals, he lose. But he never could break the ice. So when I told Diego, look, man, this is what we got to do to win these tournaments. Number 1 was improve his defense, and number 1, establish a jab more consistently, where he can control his opponent better, and the judges out there, they could see it. Land them that jab landing in the point scoring system. He would get the points, but I had to improve his defense and improve that jab and his range and distance. He had everything else, man. He had toughness. I didn't teach him that. Great combination puncher, but just be more disciplined at range and distance to use his jab to control his opponent, which he had a very good jab. And move head movement and be more patient, not just going in there throwing punches and getting hit, giving up a lot of points with that amateur electronic scoring point systems. Yeah, so we won the nationals, or the Pan Am Games, which is bigger than the nationals. And he was number 1 in the States and went to the, what do you call it? He went to the Pan Am Games. They had Fernando Vargas on the team, world champion, Lamont Brewster, who was on the team.
Yep,
Eric Morrell. Yep. Eric Morrell was on that team.
Yep.
David Reed, Antonio Tarver.
Wow, that's amazing.
6 fucking world champions on that Pan Am team. Yeah, 6 fucking world champions on that Pan Am team, man.
That's amazing.
Incredible, yeah. That's when amateur boxing in USA was fucking strong. The future greats, the future superstars of boxing came out of that amateur program. Not no more. It's a fucking joke.
Now, you know what? There's a popular thing, and we appreciate all of your insight and your memories of Diego Corrales. Yeah. Now, a lot of people actually, and this last thing I'm going to ask you, Coach, a lot of people always commemorate. And like you hear a lot, do you remember what you were doing and where were you when you heard the news Kennedy was shot? I'm going to ask you, Coach Gogue, what were you doing and where were you when you found the tragic news that Diego had indeed passed away from the tragic motorcycle accident at a very tender age?
Back then, there was no internet. Yeah, man, I can't remember, man. I remember I was in my house and I was like,
yeah,
it came on the news or something, man. It was no
we
internet.
All were.
Yeah, and
I thought I had heard a mistake. Yeah, I thought go ahead, sir.
But I was shocked, and I started calling around. I called Ed Jackson, who was the strength coach for him, and yeah, man, we were just And oh man, we're just shocked, man. Just shocked and everything, man.
Yeah, I spoke with Coach. Yeah, I spoke with Coach Goosen, who was training Brian Valoria at the time at an event.
Yeah.
And I asked him, and he said, you know what, I felt so terrible because we had recently, before that, had a falling out because of something as stupid and as trivial as money. And he said, I wish I could go back and take that back. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a falling out. And but you know, I saw his dad, Ray Woods, the guy that made him. Okay.
Yep.
I saw him the next year. I had a show in Sacramento. He called me out of we were at a fight there at the Arco Arena, and he goes, Gogue. I turned around. I knew it was Ray because I know Ray's voice. I said, oh my God, I gave him a hug, and we started talking. Because look, I was there when he first started with his son, when he was a little 8-year-old, and he was hard on him, man. Ray Woods, hard coach. He was good. He's a good man, honest man, and a hard coach. And he made Diego who he was. Because Diego would have been a little wimp if the mom, he would have been mommy's boy if the daddy wasn't there. Okay, Ray was that, instilled that toughness, that toughness, that resilience, just like Floyd Mayweather did to his son Junior. I was there with Floyd. Okay, all right, in the amateurs when he was a kid. I seen him lose 5 fights in the amateurs. Okay, people don't believe me, but I could tell you them, one by one. But Senior was, he's the one that instilled that toughness and discipline in Floyd, and Ray was the same way. And I saw Ray, man, and man, I was like, man, Diego. He goes, Ray's a strong guy. He goes, oh man, yeah. He goes, Diego, he loved to live a fast life. Yeah, he was fearless, man. That boy, motherfucker, was fearless, and it was Ray that instilled that fearlessness in him. Because, like I said, when I started bringing him in to spar Tony Lopez, Tony wasn't taking it easy on him when he was 16. Oh hell no, they were going at it, man. And Richard, all them dudes, man, all them top pros, world champions, top contenders. Yep. You're talking about a 16-year-old. You want to hear? Nowadays, these motherfucking top amateurs, 16 years old, they would never spar top level world class pros.
Yep,
world champions at that. Fuck no, hell no. Yeah. But I told the dad, that's what you need to do to get your son to the best level. Sparring amateurs ain't gonna make your son better. And that's what happened. Diego grew. But man, when he died, and I still think about it, man, because over the years, you take back then, you take camera pictures, you keep them. And I still got a lot of pictures of Diego when he, coming up, man. I'm like, oh Jesus. I still remember all these club shows. I mean, all these smokers he fought on. At the Folsom Prison Rodeo, they had at Folsom State Prison, the rodeo. They had a little rodeo area. They did a show there, and Diego had like 12 fights, and he had a war with a guy named Joaquin Gallardo. I remember that fight right now, thinking about it. Or when he won the blue and gold tournament, or when he fought this guy. Oh man, I've seen the guy fight so many times. Or when he fought at the Nationals, when he was coming up, when he lost to Fernando Vargas, when he lost at the Sports Festival to Augie Sanchez, or when he lost at the Nationals in the last 5 seconds, when the guy scored a couple of points and he lost 42-41 on the scorecard, and then winning it when he was with me. Oh man, I remember when he won that tournament, boy, he was so happy because the previous big tournaments he fought in, he lost. The finals, semifinals, he'd lose. He never could break the ice. But with me, we made those adjustments. Then he won it all. Yeah, and he was so happy, man. He gave me a hug. You'll see it if you guys could see it, man. Watch go to YouTube. Diego Corrales versus just type in Diego Corrales 1995 Pan Am Trials Finals against Terrence Cawthon.
Wow.
Fucking Floyd Mayweather told me when he turned pro, that was the hardest puncher he ever worked with on the hand pads. He said nobody ever hit as hard as that guy. And that guy was knocking out everybody in that tournament. When he fought Diego, I was like, oh shit. But I knew how tough Diego was. I know how tough he was in the sparring I got with Tony, man. This motherfucking amateur ain't gonna do shit with him. And he smoked him. But you can see it, the Pan Am trials, Diego Corrales versus Terrence Cawthon. You could see him when he won the title, and you'll see me when I got in the ring at the very end. and I gave him a hug, and he gave me his trophy, and they gave him the draft. Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see a young me back in '95. Yeah, and that was his proudest moment in amateur, man. And oh yeah, man, he was so happy because he finally broke the ice. To call himself a national champion, number one in the USA. Yep. And back then, it wasn't easy becoming number one back then. All right, yep. They had a lot of good fighters in USA boxing, and to win that tournament and to be called number one, that meant something special back then, like winning a world title.
Yep. I'll tell you what, and everything that Diego had to go through, and the pinnacle of his career with the Jose Luis Castillo fight, everyone remembers that. And sadly,
you want to hear this, Joe?
Let's hear it, sir.
Back then, Diego was a dog. He was a top dog in NorCal, man. He was a man. Okay, he was a top prospect. Then right under him, there were three other fighters. They were in their junior stage. They weren't at the senior division yet because Diego Corrales was king. Then there were three other little kids coming up. Them three little kids were Robert Guerrero, Namito Donaire, Robert Guerrero, Namito Donaire, and Andre Ward. They were right under Diego. Yeah,
out of the Bay Area. Yep.
Yeah. I remember all those motherfuckers, man, back then. Yeah,
that's amazing, Coach. That's amazing. Yeah. And sadly, after that fight, he never won another professional fight, and he went into somewhat of a depression. And yeah, and that's basically what happened, because a lot of people, including Coach Joe Goosen, that Diego that he knows doesn't believe that was an accident. That he said, you know what, he was just not himself towards the end there because he never won another fight. Yeah,
I don't want to go over that because I don't want to smear Diego's name, but he was a great person, great human being. Me and him were tight, man. Yeah, real tight, man. And every time he saw me, especially when he got out of prison for a little stint he did there, he signed with Jay Prince, and I found out he was training in Jay Prince's gym. As soon as I walked in, he was ring shadow boxing. He was like 20 yards away. He saw me from the distance. He goes, "Man, that looks like James Gogue." I could hear him. He was in the ring shadow boxing. I walked in the gym. He goes, "Man, that looks like James Gogue." He just stopped what he was doing, and everybody in the gym turned around and looked at me. Then he was all, I got up and I got up the stairs, gave me a big hug, for like 5 minutes, man. Like, man, I'm so glad to see you. And he was telling everybody, even Jay Prince, Antonio Leonard, everybody in the gym, me and this guy goes back a long time since I was a little kid. You guys don't know how far we go back. He was telling everybody in that gym, man. Yeah. And I saw him there, man. Me and Diego were tight. Yeah. But he had demons, man. Like, a lot of fighters, when they attempt they don't know how to keep success into perspective, and they don't know how to control fame. Sometimes the fame overwhelms them, and that's when all the problems start. Okay, when you become successful, you're making money. You got to be humble about it. Okay, you got to separate yourself from that bullshit and control everything instead of letting it control you. And sometimes when you got like Diego, everybody.
Well, we need to make plans to have you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir. My apologies.
Everybody putting bullshit in your head and this and that, and you know what I mean? You lose focus. Yep. Like I said, he lost focus. Okay. Like I said, when you win the fight, great and dandy, celebrate a few days, then you recommit yourself to the process again on what it takes, what you need to do on a consistent basis, all the things you need to do to maintain that success, to get better. Yep. But you lose focus and get caught up in the bullshit of success, like Bernard Hopkins says. And, you start doing stupid stuff, man. And Diego had a lot of demons. And, man, like the dad told me, Ray told me, he lived a fast life, man. But, but I'm so happy, man. In fact, I'm pretty sure his whole family is going to go to, Canastota when he gets inducted, man, which is, it's good for the dad, especially Ray. Good. Without Ray, there will be no Ray, the coach, the stepdad. There will be no Diego Corrales. If Ray wasn't hard and tough on him when he was a kid, he would have grown up to be a wimp. I was there.
Yep.
I was there. He would cry all the time.
Coach.
Every time he would cry after he lose and cry, like a little baby. But Ray didn't accept that. Yeah, his dad. He was tough on him, man. And that toughness, Joe, let me talk. That toughness he instilled in him. is what made him as a fighter.
That is correct. That is correct. And I tell you what, it really paid off. He was it was a joy to watch him fight, Coach.
Yeah.
It was a joy. And you always knew that you were going to see a great spectacle of a fight.
Well, you could see his natural talent when he was 14. I saw it. I told the dad, hey man, your kid, okay, he's gonna make some noise. He's already an elite level fighter on the elite level. Now he just needs to get better. And you do that by sparring good pros. I always believed in sparring good pros. That's something I learned coming up, and from Emmanuel. Emmanuel did the same thing. Okay, Stewart. Okay. You want to make your amateur fighter better, you spar them with good professionals. And I learned that coming up, and I learned it, I learned it. Emmanuel did the same thing in his gym. But anyway, Diego, same philosophy I did with Diego and his dad. And his dad knew I knew what I was talking about, listened to me, and he brought him in there. Yeah, 3 years I got to work with him. I had a good time with the kid, man. Trained real good in the gym, listened to me, everything I said. When it's time, like the Pan Am trials, ready to fight, we took care of business, man. And won his first tournament. But I wish I would have got a chance to train him in the pros, because guys like Kenny Adams that trained him and everything, they were ready-made. Diego was a ready-made fighter when Kenny got him,
Yeah.
He was ready-made.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Here it is. Sid UK, welcome to the show, sir. Said, did Gogue ever watch Ricardo Lopez?
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised not many talk about him because his record is crazy. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We fought together on 2 cars together. One in Lake Tahoe. First time I ever saw him fight. He got paid $20,000 to defend his title.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, you can see his ability, boy. Just classic fundamentals. Mastered the fundamentals, footwork, hands up high, elbows tucked in, worked off the jab, master technician, intelligent boxer, and he can hit. Then in Monterrey, Mexico, Sid, he fought on our undercard. When my guy Tony Lopez, we fought Julio Cesar Chavez. He fought on the undercard. Yeah. So, and I got to train we got to train in the gym together. We were in Monterrey the whole 10 days before the fight. We watch him train in this. Oh yeah, I knew Ricardo. And like I said, I haven't seen Ricardo in a while, but last time I seen him, man, and it was a long time. He saw me and he waved to me. We remember each other. We don't know each other personally, but he saw me and waved to me. And you know what I mean? And I went up there, shake his hand. How you doing? And this and that. But I haven't seen him in a while, man. But yeah. Oh yeah, I know his trainer, Nacho, real well. Beristain.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there it is. And there it is. One last one, Coach. I know it's getting late. We were already approaching the 2-hour mark, but Jesus M. Coach, where were you for Corrales Castillo? It was in December, wasn't it? Around Christmas time?
I can't remember when. I can't remember. I was at my house watching it because I knew styles make fights.
Yep.
And I always told the dad, Ray Woods, when Castillo was coming up, that's going to be a tough fight for Diego in the future, because Diego was fighting at 30, but when he moved up, I said that's going to be a very, very tough fight, because that Castillo is one bad motherfucker. And the thing is, the dad, we always were on the same page, and he told me the same thing. He goes, that guy's a fighter. And this was like 2 or 3 years before they fought.
Yep.
Me and the dad were like, man, that's a tough fight. So when they made the fight, I knew that fight had the makings for potential fight of the year, man. Yeah. Then when get this, man, you fans out there, I remember when that fight was made, they were in training camp. I called Joe Goosen. I said, hey, Joe, this is a tough fight, man. This is a very tough fight. And he knew it too. And because then I told Joe everything I'm telling you now. He knew it. I said, he knew Castillo was no joke.
Yep.
Yeah. He knew Castillo can hit with both hands. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Joe was so Diego, he really dedicated himself to the process, committed himself to the process, like I talked to you about, and didn't take no shortcuts in camp. 3-a-day workouts, 6 days a week, morning run, training session in the afternoon, strength conditioning at night. He did that 6 days a week. And Joe told me if if he didn't train, if he didn't commit himself to that process of training 3-day workouts for 6 weeks, if he didn't commit to that process of 3-day workouts, 6 days a week, and he would have took shortcuts, he would have lost that fight. Joe Goosen told me that. He goes, that training camp is what won him the fight, the conditioning he got in. He said if he would have cheated the grind, he would have lost. And I agree. Yeah. Joe Goosen, we always see on the same level, man. Every time I haven't talked to Joe in a long time, but every time we talk boxing, when you know boxing, okay? When we talk to a guy like Joe Goosen, or when I talk to a guy like Eddie Futch or Benton in the days, or Jesse Reed, or all the Bill Miller, back in the days, when we talk boxing, we don't talk 20 minutes or 10 minutes and bye. Nah, once we get talking to boxing, Floyd Mayweather Sr., we'll stay on the phone for like 2-3 hours. I've done that before many times, man. Got on the phone at 9, get off the phone at 12, 12:30. Same thing with Joe Goosen. We got on the phone. We started talking about that fight. I started giving him my perspective, and Joe was listening, because, extra stuff I was saying, he was listening and learning, you know what I mean? And Joe, when you hear another special Hall of Famer like Joe, and I'm talking and he's quiet, that means he's listening, just like Don Chargan. When I used to talk to Don Chargan, I used to tell him about this and this, and he used to be quiet. That means he's listening, he's learning. Because even though you're on the status of them guys, you always learn something new. It's the same with me, when I'm talking to somebody and I like what they're saying and I'm learning, I keep my mouth shut, let them talk. I remember time Cameron Duncan, Hall of Fame boxing manager. He will be when he was Diego's original manager. He found him and turned him pro with Diego. Cameron Duncan. If Cameron, he's had so many world champions. It's not even funny. I remember I called him one night out of the blue, 8 o'clock. We were on the phone till 1 a.m. talking about boxing. Yeah, when you know boxing, and the people that are true. Guys like Futch or Joe Goosen or Jesse Reed, you stay on the phone forever because you guys are talking the same language. You guys agree. Yep. But when you're full of shit, or Manuel Stewart, when you're full of shit, they don't want to be around you. They see you're a big phony, and they'll just Floyd Mayweather tell you get the fuck out of your face, or Roger Mayweather, get the fuck out of here. Manuel was polite about it, but when you know boxing, you know boxing.
That's it. I tell you what, Coach Gogue, it's been an amazing show, and we appreciate all of your thoughts and your memories, sharing your memories with us regarding the now Hall of Famer, of course, posthumously, but the now Hall of Famer, Diego Corrales. Rest in peace, sir. Tell you what, Chico was a great one. A great one. I'll tell you what, he epitomized everything that we love about boxing. And hopefully,
get this, Joe. When that fight was made with Mayweather, there was no posturing between guys. I'm the A side. I need to go on first. They didn't like each other. They just wanted to make the fight. They got the biggest payday, for each, and they made the fight. Okay, that's how easy it was to make the fucking fight. Nowadays, joke, these motherfuckers are.
It's sad, guys. It's sad, but I tell you what, rest in peace, Chico, and congratulations, Coach Gogue, seeing your amateur fighter get inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And let's make plans to be there, man, next summer. Should be a lot of fun, brother.
I like to see the family. If I go, not only to honor Diego, but to see the mom and dad, Olga and Ray, and his brothers, Maisie and Daryl. Yeah. I know them all since they were little kids. Now they're adults. They got kids. You know what I mean? Grandkid. Yeah. Diego would have been a grandfather by now, I think. So, yeah. I know, man. Like I said, I've known them all since they were little puppies. Yeah, they all know me, man. Yeah, every time this, like Diego, man. Got out of prison in that Prince gym, man. He saw me. We ain't seen each other like in 4 or 5 years, man. He knows who was with them when they were coming up and before they were really famous and everything. But Diego, man, Diego's he was a warrior boy. Arturo Gatti, no different. Him and Diego, no different. Arturo Gatti, Diego Corrales.
Yep, both gone too quickly. I tell you what, rest in peace, guys. But that's just gonna about do it. Guys, we got to share the air 2 hours with Coach Gogue. What a treat. Wow. Want to thank you guys all for hanging with us. And please hit the like button if you haven't already. And guys, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel. And guys, you can hear Coach Gogue every Sunday. Next Sunday is going to be the day after Christmas, Coach. And you're going to break down Naoya Inoue versus Marlon Papales for the undisputed 122-pound championship. How do you like that? That's coming up, guys. Yep.
Solid.
So you're excited about
this is not a give me for Inoue. This Filipino dude, he's tough, he's physical, he's resilient, and he's got a good chin. Let me see if Inoue could hurt this guy. If he can't hurt him, he's going to be in for a long night. Yeah.
And there it is. There's your sneak preview. Tune in for the whole thing, guys, on the day after Christmas, December 26th. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow night with me, G Funky, and Rick Glazier. But guys, on behalf of the great, incomparable Coach James Gogue, I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to War Week Boxing. Have a great evening, everybody. Holdings proudly presents War Week Radio with 5-decade fight trainer Coach James Gogue.